I made a video game, and this is what I learned. To entirely understand the next section, you'll need to understand not only the basic game mechanics, but the lore of the game itself. In Find Your Friend, you play as Sam, a pet monkey who gets lost in the woods looking for his owner who has ran away. You must follow the paper trail to track down her location. While you are being hunted by the woods wolf, there is only one possible way to avoid the wolf. Run and hide in a dead tree. If you were unable to find a tree in time before the wolf could get to you, it's game over. The wolf will keep chasing you until a certain amount of time has passed, where he will then retreat. The wolf will always have your location, so hiding in a tree is a must, and there is no other way to get around it. Unless he gets stuck, like he does half the time. You may notice a similar pattern from a style of games that might have been popular a while ago. Yeah, it was heavily inspired by Slender the 8 Pages, in a more cartoony fashion, but still trying to keep that prevalent element of horror intact. Mechanics-wise, it's very simple. The more pages you collect, the more angry the wolf gets, therefore the more likely it is to hunt you. Collect all 9 pages, trigger the ending, and you're free to go, and you have beat the game. Now that I've explained the basics, I will finally tell you what I learned from making a game. Coding is hard. Okay, in all actuality, coding isn't that bad. The worst part is writing clean code. I'm gonna take you through my code, starting with the thing I worked on the first and the thing I worked on the last. This is my player script. This should not be my player script. For example, I've almost recreated this to an extent in a new scene with like just this section up here. There's also a lot of stuff in here that I unnecessarily repeat, like having animations be their own separate if statement compared to movement, which doesn't make sense because you know how they're moving if you just go to the if statement that defines their movement. Much rather should have used state machines, which would have cleaned it up, but ignoring the fact that it is all in if statements, there's way too much going on here. If you were to read through this, you would basically have no idea of anything. And I'm also really bad at putting code into my, or putting comments into my code. So that is definitely not helpful. Here is a later script that is much cleaner. This is the enemy, the wolf. Much more compartmentalized, much more using actual nodes, and it is a lot cleaner of a system. Granted, I used a tutorial for this, but it is still much better, still leagues better than this absolute dictionary I wrote out. Let's see. 336 lines of code. That is too much. Going to my cleanest code, what I did last was the UI. Granted, UI is a lot nicer. It's also a really unique UI because of its interactability. So this itself has a player script along with animations. And if you compare this player script, step block bench, carry bar, it is oh so much more cleaner. Half the battle with writing code is keeping your code compartmentalized, organized, and easy to reuse. The issue is that I worked on this for maybe a month or so. There is one level, and it is very short, max of like 15 minutes if you're really pushing it. I was already basically unable to work on this. Unfortunately, if we take it for how it is, That was way too far. This would not work for much longer. I would have had to completely rewritten the code and absolutely mangle it and contort it to the point where I'd basically have to rewrite the entire game. So, what does this mean? And why should you care? Well, look at it this way. We all learned something here today. Do not let me program code. But no. The real important takeaway here is that I am already in the 10% of people who make games. And you could be too. As I said, this only took me a month, and it was honestly not that hard to do. I didn't sink that much time into it. I've been doing YouTube and school at the same time. So really, it's not that hard of a project to make your first game. If you're expecting to make a masterpiece first try, then, well, you've already failed. Your first game will suck booty, just the same as mine. You are no better than me. Well, maybe if you've programmed in, like, other learning languages, but you still... Okay, maybe you're better than me. That's not the point. What I'm saying here is that you could be one of the greatest at a thing just by simply trying and finishing it. And that's gotta be worth something. So if you're watching this video and you were like, this game sucks, I could do so much better, then do it. Make a better game. Thank you for watching today's video. It means a lot to me that you've sat through my now 8 minutes of insanity. Check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/BranGoodYT. Check out my itch.io page for this game that I'm talking about in this video if you want to play it and see just how ass it really is. It's not really that ass. The code is, but I think the game's fun. So yeah, like, subscribe, do all the generic YouTuber stuff. And this has been Brandon, and you've been watching